Chapter 207 to 209. Third-person POV. Clayman, go. 9 head. Viola. The fox that appeared from God knows where and the magic puppet that appeared from Clayman's little pocket space that Rimuru definitely didn't loot the moment he saw it with Azathoth. Who are we kidding? He totally looted it, ran towards Shizu and Rimuru with the intent to kill. Well, the fox was controlled by a curse, so it didn't really have a choice in this matter. Now, although the fox could spawn extra helpers with her tails in the form of other animals, it didn't. Instead, it went full-on physical with Shizu because, well, they made a silent agreement not to use their powers. Clayman, ahahaha. Your little followers are doomed. 9 head is my strongest subordinate. And Viola is a masterpiece of mine. And you. Clayman points towards Mikoto, who has her hands on her hips and is looking at him with a look that says, "Can you hurry this up?" and impatiently tapping her foot. Clayman, I'm stronger than you now. I've sacrificed my life force, and I'll make sure to kill you. Mikoto, sure if you say so. Clayman's smug attitude intensifies, completely missing Mikoto's casual dismissal. He opens his mouth, attempting to taunt her even more, but... boom. Clayman, nanny. Snapping his head in the direction of the explosion, he sees the smoldering remains of his once-beloved creation, Viola. Now, all that is left is the scattered pieces of magic steel blackened from the explosion. He looks towards Rimuru, hoping to at least see him heavily injured. Imagine his surprise when he sees the humanoid slime looking at the scrap pieces with the same amount of confusion. Clayman, what happened? MC POV. Rimuru, what happened? Ilya. Even Ilya doesn't know. I can feel the shock she is feeling. Ilya. Did it commit suicide after seeing your face? Rimuru, oi. What was that for? Ilya, humph. That's for ignoring me the past few chapters. Rimuru, don't blame me. Blame the author. Really, it's not my fault the author didn't write as many lines for you in the past few chapters. I mean, what about some other characters like Vesta or Kaijin? They haven't said anything in ages. Anyway, I go back to watching the standoff between a crazy man and a beautiful teenager. Out of context, my actions of just standing aside while an old man with white hair who happens to be bleeding a lot is staring intently at the teenage girl would raise some eyebrows. I mean, the least I could do is call the ambulance and especially the police. Especially since the old man has bloodshot eyes is breathing heavily while doing so, but I don't need to. I mean, I want to, simply because only I'm allowed to breathe heavily while staring at Mikoto, but I realize that I would probably end up bleeding more than Clayman would be if I take this away from her. I mean, despite Mikoto's impassive expression, I can tell. She is pissed. She is really annoyed with Clayman. So, without warning, she lowers her body and quickly pushes off the ground, shooting towards him at Mach speeds. The enchanted floor shook under the impact. Lightning danced off her skin, her eyes glowed with a bluish-white glow, leaving a trail of light in the air behind her. She appeared nearly instantaneously in front of Clayman. And kicked his nuts. Without even realizing it, I start clapping. Rimuru, that's my girl. But unfortunately, I should have realized this as an experienced nutcracker. There was no satisfying crack sound. Clayman, fu-fu-fu. Ku-ku-ku-ku. Ahahaha. Clayman throws his head back in laughter as Mikoto jumps back, seemingly a bit wary of what's coming next. Clayman, fool. You are a fool. I should have expected you wouldn't know since it's my closest guarded secret, but I'm done for anyway. So let me tell you. What is going on? This didn't happen in the original series. Is it another AU thing? Is it some sort of trap? Or a secret weapon? Clayman, my balls have long since been destroyed. What? Rimuru, what? Mikoto, what? Remiris, what? Milim, what? Guy, wah. Other demon lords, what? Even Shizu and 9 head, I gotta change that damn name, stop their little cat fight and stare at Clayman with shocked faces. Shizu, Naya. 9 head, Khan. Clayman continues to laugh. Clayman, ahahaha. I am unstoppable. You cannot defeat me. Mikoto asterisk sigh asterisk indeed I can't. Mikoto sighs while shaking her head in disappointment. Mikoto, but he can. She says while pointing back at me over her shoulder with her thumb. And yes, I can. Writing a quick regeneration rune in the air with Odin, I flick it towards Clayman. Specifically, between his legs. The area between his legs glows a bit, shining slightly through his pants as Clayman stops laughing. Then, using Yahweh, I create a boot. It's mainly black, but written along its side are some words written in green. The Nutcrackerator. Doofenshmirtz will be proud. This boot is designed after My Hero Academia Deku's shoes on his hero costume after he figures out his shoot style, the fighting style that uses his legs. These shoes have a special mechanism that jets out a piece of the sole whenever it takes a certain amount of impact, dealing extra damage when used in a kick. Putting on that shoe, I casually stroll up to a stupefied Clayman who is still looking at the area between his legs with an unreadable expression. I rear my foot backwards and send it right into Clayman's newly regenerated manhood. The mechanism in the Nutcrackerator fires off. A satisfying, yet gruesome sound enters my ears after. Splat. Yes, splat. Not crack. I take off the Nutcrackerator and stare at it with hard eyes. This. Rimuru, this is too powerful. You could take over the world with this. Sigh. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. It's for the greater good. I open a compartment in the heel of the shoe revealing a red button. I press that red button and the shoe explodes. Because what Doofenshmirtz invention doesn't have a self-destruct button? I go back to watching the standoff between a crazy man and a beautiful teenager. Out of context, my actions of just standing aside while an old man with white hair who happens to be bleeding a lot is staring intently at the teenage girl would raise some eyebrows. I mean, the least I could do is call the ambulance and especially the police. Especially since the old man has bloodshot eyes is breathing heavily while doing so, but I don't need to. I mean, I want to, simply because only I'm allowed to breathe heavily while staring at Mikoto, but I realize that I would probably end up bleeding more than Clayman would be if I take this away from her. I mean, despite Mikoto's impassive expression, I can tell. She is pissed. She is really annoyed with Clayman. Clayman, you can't defeat me. I am Dash. Crunch. A crunching sound enters his ears. He turns his head back to me. Meanwhile, I am leaning back in Mikoto's chair with a pack of cheesy dibbles, one hand holding the packet, the other hand inside the packet while I am chewing on the last of the snack in my mouth. Clayman turns his attention back to Mikoto. Clayman, you can't defeat me. I am Dash. Crunch. I eat another one from the packet. Man, these are good. Clayman, you can't dash. Crunch. Totally underrated, I should introduce these back in Avalon. Clayman, you dash. Crunch. Clayman, would you stop that? Rimuru, sorry. Clayman sighs in frustration. Clayman, you can't defeat me. I am Clayman, the Dash. Crunch. Clayman, you can't defeat me. I am Clay Dash. Crunch. Clayman, I am Clayman. The Mario Dash. Crunch. Clayman, the Marionette Master. A Demon Dash. Crunch. Clayman, a Demon Lord. Kraz Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Crazy Clown of the Mod Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Crazy Clown of the Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Crazy Clown Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Crazy Dash. Crunch. Clayman, RRGH. Crazy Clown of the Moderate JE Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Jess Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Jess Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Jester Dash. Crunch. Clayman, Jesters. Crew Yuwinch. I lick my fingers from the remaining flavor dust. I bet my mouth is covered in cheesy dibble powder. I'll have to clean up later. I crush the empty packet into a ball and throw it over my shoulder. I look up to find everyone, and I mean everyone, staring at me. I take out another packet. Rimuru, you guys want some? Clayman is on the floor, his entire body twitching violently from the trauma it just received. He's barely conscious too. I'm not really surprised either. His body is entirely drained of his life force, gone way past the threshold. Life force is a regenerating resource, closely linked to stamina. Spiritual beings have a near-infinite source of it, but Clayman isn't a spiritual being. He would have been if he evolved into a true demon lord legitimately. Alas, he forced the evolution by burning all of his life force away, damaging his soul in the process. His body won't live much longer, an hour or two more at most. His soul will probably disperse into nothingness within a year, and that's considering he even manages to find a new body to inhabit. Still twitching on the floor, Clayman whimpers. Clayman, K. Kill me. Rimuru, you're not a female knight trapped in a nest of orcs, don't say that. It was a habitual response, one that garnered a few questionable looks from the others in the room. Rimuru, it's an inside joke. Malim, on the other hand, excitedly stands up, raising her hand high into the air with an expression you would find on a child visiting an amusement park for the first time. Malim, me. Me. Can I kill him, Nanoda? Malim's actions would be incredibly cute if not for the gruesome context her words carried. But still, I can't really let her kill him. Rimuru, better not, this fucker can reincarnate. I say while lazily pointing towards Clayman's still twitching body. I vaguely remember Clayman has the ability to carry his soul to different places once his body dies. It won't help with healing his soul in any way, but he can still cause havoc in the remaining year or so that his soul will continue to exist. Plus, you know, I don't want to bother hunting him down. Ilya, Oniai-chan, can't you, like, prevent his soul from leaving? Rimuru. Ilya. Oniai-chan. Rimuru, shoo. I know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. However, it seems Malim does. Malim, it's alright, Nanoda. I still have this. Saying that she flicks her right hand to the side. A flash of bright golden light appears around her wrist, quickly weakening into a soft glow. Starting around her wrist, an object starts to appear. A familiar object. A set of golden chains, around a meter or so in length, wrapped around her wrist while the rest just hangs off. Just looking at the chains gives me a mystical, ancient feel. Enkidu, the chains of heaven. Feels like I haven't seen it in ages. The last time I saw it was when I gave it to Malim after we unsealed the Chaos Dragon and salvaged Gaia's soul. Speaking of which, I wonder when Gaia's egg will finally hatch. It's been sitting on a pillow with a couch all to itself at home. Rimuru, you still have it? Malim, of course, Nanoda. My bestie gave it to me, after all. Malim proudly proclaims with her hands on her hips, her chest puffed out and her nose pointed towards the ceiling. Ramiris, Rimuru, Malim, what is that? Ramiris' seemingly wary voice enters my ears, causing me to look at her confusedly. It seems even Malim is a bit confused at her tone of voice, although she also seems to have a vague idea why. And it's not just her voice, her entire body language is emanating the same wariness towards the chains. It's pretty obvious, with her hiding behind Jarvis, again. Rimuru, that is Enkidu, they are chains that restrain and seal higher existences. Malim, yup. Isn't it amazing, Nanoda? Rimuru made it. Malim shouts as she holds the chains above her head. Malim's words cause shock to run through almost everyone in the room. Luminous, he made it. The maid that is totally not a demon lord standing behind Roy Valentine mutters to herself in shock, reflecting the general inner thoughts of those shocked people. I feel a bit prideful at this. Yeah, I made that. Watch out before I start spamming Enkidus on yo ass. Ramiris, yeah, that's pretty cool, but, it's creepy. Malim, More explanation from Ramiris lets me know why she is acting scared of the chains and why everyone, even Guy, is on edge against them. Although, Fry, Carrion, and some of the attendants didn't have as much of a reaction. Apparently, the moment Malim revealed the chains, they felt vaguely scared of the chains, their instincts warning them to stay as far away from them as they can. Surprisingly, even Mikoto confessed to feeling the same. Rimuru, I guess it's Enkidu's anti-higher existence property. It's mostly effective against spiritual beings which also include true demon lords, but not demon lord seeds since they haven't ascended their physical bodies yet. At least, not as much. Ilya, I wonder why you haven't reached this conclusion until now. You can be pretty ignorant at times, Oniai-chan. Rimuru, oh, be quiet. If you want to act smart about it, why isn't Malim or I affected by it then? Ilya, weren't you the one who made it? Rimuru. Ilya, plus, you made the chains with Malim in mind, didn't you? It must have spared her from the wariness the others are feeling. Oh. Rimuru, you're so smart. As expected of Miyamoto. I continue to shower her in a rain of compliments in hopes that she will forget my little stupid moment. Rimuru. So. Why did you bring out those chains again? Malim, Oh. Right. Clayman. Oh yeah, she was going to use it on Clayman. I turned to look at the spot Clayman was in before, only to find a shallow pool of blood. Rimuru, did Clayman decompose into a puddle of blood? Mikoto, seriously. Ilya, Clayman did what? All three of us are panicking. I mean, this is out of all our expectations. Maybe he committed suicide and had his soul escape. Shizu, ran away. Rimuru, Nanny? Shizu, I said he ran away. I look at Shizu, who is sitting cross-legged on the floor in her human form, leaning back using her arms to prop her upper body up, an exhausted blonde fox lying on its back next to her. Rimuru. He ran away. Shizu, He was also screaming, "I'll get my revenge," and things like that. Malim, oh. He ran away. Why am I unable to notice things like this? Bruh, memento. Although I doubt it, there's a chance he'll get stronger and come back, which will end in a hard struggle which I will eventually win. It's how it usually goes in those fucking cultivation novels. God damn it. Ilya, don't worry, Oni-chan. It's all according to plan. Rimuru. Weren't you also panicking along with the rest of us? Ilya, moo. I feel Ilya pout in my mind. Kawaii. In any case, I turn to the little fox next to Shizu and write an anti-curse rune before flinging it over to it. This broke any curse Clayman had on it, so it no longer has to listen to that prick's orders. I wonder what'll happen to him. Well, I'm sure Ilya has something planned. Third person POV. Clayman, *tui*, I show dem. I'll show dem all. I will have my revenge, one way or the other. A heavily wounded Clayman spits out his last remaining tooth as he trudges through the giant pile of broken and shattered stone bricks that used to make up his once glorious castle. Clayman, but where the hell is this? I don't remember any location near my castle that has this much rubble and stone. Of course, he doesn't know that. He thinks it's just an area near his castle that happens to have lots of broken stone gathered into a very, very large pile. Furthermore, there's nothing to notify Clayman of this, no decoration, no furniture, nothing. It was all stolen. Clayman, did my teleportation spell backfire? Clayman mutters to himself before his eyes catch sight of a shiny object. He stumbles over to it and takes a closer look. It's a crystal ball. The crystal ball lights up and a hologram of a blue man with blank eyes appears. It's so sad Steve Jobs died of ligma. Clayman, absolutely confused, says the first thing on his mind. Clayman, who the hell is Steve Jobs? Ligma balls. Boom. Clayman bursts into many particles before the wind blows them away. And thus, Clayman died. Not just in his body, but his soul was destroyed as well. May you rest in discomfort. Well, Clayman disappeared, but I feel like everything is going to be alright, so I won't bother looking for him. Call it a gut instinct. Nothing overly exciting happened afterwards. Mikoto was accepted as a demon lord despite not defeating Clayman. This is mainly because everyone knew she could stomp him to the ground without too much trouble. Not only that, but Malim, Ramiris and surprisingly Carrion also supported her legitimacy of holding the demon lord title. Carrion, who just randomly took off his lion mask at some point, mainly supported her because Avalon decimated Clayman's army when said army wanted to massacre Carrion's citizens. And Malim and Ramiris just wanted to support her because they are friends. So yeah, she became an accepted demon lord without much issue. After that, Fry and Carrion stepped down as demon lords, stating that they realized how weak they were with Malim absolutely decimating Carrion, leading to him going MIA, and then the scuffle with Clayman just a few minutes ago. After that, they went under Malim as her subordinates, to which she accepted, happy to get new lackeys that she can boss around. Pfft, their funeral. But we all quickly came to a realization. A horrifying realization. Ramiris, so, like. What do we call ourselves now? Mikoto, what do you mean? Ramiris, I mean, we were called the 10 Great Demon Lords, you know? But, there's only 8 of us now, including you. This causes some of the other demon lords to gasp and mutter to themselves, agreeing with Ramiris. What makes it comedic is that they all have a serious expression on their faces, more serious than any other time during the Walpurgis. Even Guy isn't as laid back anymore. Mikoto, That's it. The girl, you don't understand. The last time we came together to discuss a new name for ourselves, it took 3 months before we finally came to an agreement. Mikoto, seriously. Roy, and even then, our name only came about because we took too long to name ourselves, so the humans came up with something. Mikoto stares at all of them with wide eyes and a gaping mouth. Even I, who knew all this beforehand, is also a little amazed having heard this myself in person. I mean, 3 months. That's about a third of my entire life as a slime right there. Damn, I'm almost a year old at this point. I'm getting old. Dino, so, what do we do? Dino murmurs, still half asleep. Melim, ooh. We can just ask Rimuru to choose one Nanoda. Me? Ramiris, oh, that's a good idea. Rimuru's super good at naming things. Woman, I am the guy who named his country Jugimu Gokono Surakair Kaijari Suijo no Suijomatsu Unraimatsu Furaimatsu Kuneru Tokoro Ni Sumo Tokoro Yaburakoji no Burakoji Pipo no Shuringen no Gurandai no Pampakopi no Pampakona no Chokumiai no Chasuk. I am not good at naming things. Furthermore, why don't you ask Mikoto to do it? She's the demon lord here. Mikoto, yeah, Rimuru always had a knack for giving things names. You too. You're throwing me under the bus as well. Don't think I can't see you holding back your laugh, woman. When we get back, I'm going to punish you. Yeah. I'm going to punish you. Thinks about Mikoto's thighs. Ramiris, so you got any ideas for names, Rimuru? Rimuru, Mikoto's thighs. I absent-mindedly respond. By the time I realize what I just said, it was too late. Mikoto, wa dash. Immediately, Mikoto's face burst into a deep shade of red. I'm not joking, her face was crimson red. I think I even saw heat waves coming off her cheeks. The worst part? There was lightning. And lots of it. Asterisk zzzzzzzzzztt boom. Asterisk. Rimuru, gah. It didn't hurt in any way. She can't hurt me, hell, nothing can hurt me at this point. Furthermore, regardless of my actions, she would never want to hurt me in the first place. But, you know, habits and whatnot. Rimuru asterisk cough asterisk. I cough out some black smoke as I think more about the names I could use. I mean, I could just throw out Octogram and be done with it, but that name wasn't terribly important. I could replace it with something of my own, colors, should I say. Rimuru, how about the lads? They all shook their heads. Rimuru, How about Shrek Swamp? Again, they shook their heads. Thought they would like that one. Rimuru, Fortnite Gang? Thankfully, they shook their heads again. I mean, I said it as a joke, but if they said yes. I would never forgive myself for having Mikoto become part of a group with that name. Rimuru, Fairy Princesses? Ramiris, yes. Ramiris' vote was immediately shot down by the rest. I continued throwing out names one after the other as I thought some of them up. Even Ilya added some, but I think it's because she thought it was fun. I mean, if it were her, she could throw out a badass, edgy name everyone would agree with like it was nothing. Alas, she won't, because her intelligence is limited by the author. But in the end, after 5 minutes of throwing out names non-stop, some of them even eliciting some laughs, I fell back on the already tried and tested name. Rimuru, Octogram. And they all accepted. Boo, such party poopers. So yeah, the group is now called the Octogram. With that, the Valpurgis Council was officially concluded as Guy brought the event to a close, because Clayman, the one who started it, wasn't here anymore. There was a little after-party of sorts, nothing special. There was a bunch of food brought out, courtesy of Guy, and every one of us ate and talked in little groups among ourselves except for Luminous and her group, as they immediately left. Such a shame, the food is pretty good. And most importantly, there are meat buns here too. WH. Needless to say, the plate didn't last 5 seconds before Ramiris, Trainee, Melim, Shizu, Mikoto, and I immediately took everything for ourselves. Feeling a bit sorry, I allowed Ilya to disconnect with me and enjoy the food as well. Of course, I made sure to hide her under a concealment rune so no one would notice her other than those who already know her existence. This went on for another hour and a half before the food mostly disappeared into Shizu and Ilya's stomachs, with Ramiris and Melim in a close second. Surprisingly, the fox, I'm not calling her fucking 9-head, dumbass name, also ate a lot. I have no doubt that appetite would only increase after I name her. Woe is me. Anyway, the event ended, everyone started going home including us. Melim, see you later Nanoda. Melim waves at us while Fry and Carrion lightly bow to us behind her. Ramiris, I'll drop by soon. Ramiris shots while atop Trainee's shoulder, Jarvis standing dutifully behind her. Mikoto, bye. Mikoto waves over her shoulder as she enters the portal I opened for us back to Avalon. She walks through and the rest of us follow quickly. Rimuru, don't say goodbye like it's going to be a long time before we see each other again. I just know for a fact that you're going to drop by later today, tomorrow, or the day after that by the latest. Ramiris and Meline sheepishly scratch the back of their heads before the portal closes. Shizu. I think I forgot something. Shizu mutters to herself, carrying the fox in her arms. Rimuru, if you forgot, then it wasn't important. Shizu thinks about my words for a moment before nodding her head. Shizu, yeah, you're right. Third-person POV. Meanwhile, back in the Valpurgis council room, a certain figure still sitting in his chair stirs. Leon, ugh. What happened? Leon completely missed the entire meeting. Back in Avalon, Rimuru threw a massive celebration for everyone's job well done at raiding Clayman's crack house. Although no one mentioned that it's now in rubbles, not that he would have cared. Name, Rimuru. Race, Origin Slime. Protection, Crest of Space. Title, Highest Tier Spirit, Leader of the Monsters, Oniai-chan, King of Avalon, Master of Head Pats, Procrastinator King, The Nutcracker, Socially Awkward Cringe Slightly Chuyuni Slime, True Dragon Slayer, Sensei, World's Strongest, Overpowered to a Stupid Degree, Mikoto's Equal. Codex, Iliasville. Ultimate Skills, Yahweh, God of Creation, Odin, God of Runes, Azathoth, God of Void, Alternative. Equipment, Yamato, Genesis. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Nicholas Berenger, Ben Phillips, Yamatancho, Jose Torres, Rizik Ottman. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.